All right, we are live. Let's give this a minute. See how we're doing. Okay, streaming everywhere. So this video and this stream is going to be a little bit different here, I guess. Rather than a review of the market, I'm actually going to review a post that I just made and kind of go through a walkthrough of how I did it, how I came to the analysis, and kind of more in-depth, kind of supplemental material on the post that I just made. So a lot of times on TradingView, you'll see posts. Sometimes you'll see videos. And so you got to sit through the whole video. And maybe that's a pain, or you don't have the time to do that. And sometimes you just see ideas that are posted, and you kind of want a little more of an idea of how the users came to that. And so, I figured I would throw the idea up, give a little bit of analysis on the description, and then also do a quick stream to give you an idea of how I got there and just kind of a walkthrough on my analysis and what we did. So this is what was posted, okay, and this is for API3, and this is the final product. Okay, I took an entry actually yesterday, a little bit lower. I'm down here, okay, at 417. And that was a little bit of a risky entry. We hadn't had this green candle yet at the time. So, it could have very easily gone down. However, I was looking at, the 1-2 hour chart and it seemed to be diverging, looking for a breakout. And sure enough, woke up this morning and it had. So good for me. And my confidence on that was, that it was finding support on this -2 standard deviation trend line here off of this regression channel. And we'll kind of go over that a little more. So let me hide this. Okay, so again, this is just going to be a walkthrough of the analysis for my most recent idea to give you an idea of just kind of my, my thought process in this. Okay, so the first thing I do when I did this, and I'm actually just going to kind of hide a lot of these things, and bear with me here. I did not prep these layers as well as I could have, I guess. So it may take me a second to kind of get rid of some of these things. Get rid of some of the icons here, and I'll just leave the icons on the indicators if that's okay. And let's go ahead and get rid of, where's my regression channel? Well, here's one, and here's the other one. Sorry, I'm going through the layers. And then I'm actually going to hide the point of control on my volume profile as well. Okay. So how I started this analysis, and I've kind of just got an eye for seeing these trends and these pretty well correlated channels. I mean, this isn't anything special. Anybody who can see things going up can see this channel here. But I tend to use linear regression channels a lot, simply because I think they're statistically significant and they make sense to me. So rather than just drawing and connecting lines, I like to use linear regression channels, which would be this here. And I can go into a little bit on how that is done. Let me get rid of this text as well. But the first thing that I did, when I'm looking at this chart, the first thing that I tend to do, let me get rid of this fib retracement as well. So the first thing I tend to do here is just look for, support and resistance, areas of support and resistance. Now I'll generally break this down to a lower time frame to do this, so I can kind of lock them in a little bit better, and then I'll just line out my support and resistances. Now, not all of these lines here are areas of support and resistance. Some of these I've marked as areas where we have fib clustering or confluence across some Fibonacci retracements and trend base extensions, and I'll show you those here shortly. But the first thing, go through here, find, areas where you're looking like you have support and resistance, mark those up, do that at a lower time frame to really nail them down. Higher time frame, you can kind of see them, and that is that, right? The next thing that I do when I'm looking at this is I'm curious about this trend, right? How, we see this double bottom here, and I had marked these, wrong side, here and here, and for me that looks like, okay, it's hitting on some trend. So what I do is I pull my linear regression channel, not that one, but the other one. I'm gonna put this up here, right here. Okay, now pulling a linear regression channel, you have what's called your Pearson's R, and this is essentially like a best fit, how best the data fits. Okay, it is not your slope. This isn't an 87-degree slope, right? This is just how well the data here fits on your XY, right? So a perfect one basically would be essentially the yellow line, right? Would be, all of it would fall pretty much right on the mean. Be very highly correlated with very little deviation from the mean. Okay. However, that's very rarely, if ever, the case, especially when looking at price action. And so what I've done is I have this set to 3 and 2. Okay, so the upper standard deviation here I have set to 3, right? You can see it's higher up here, and we've got some points where we've touched this, and if we extend it this way, you'd see it's relevant here as well. And then -2, we see we're finding support. We've got a few where it just kind of, it gets a little springboard down here, dips below, but it seemed to be finding support pretty darn well right here, okay, on that -2. Now, 3 standard deviations above and below pretty much are going to cover everything to show you that this trend is still valid. We could dip down here and come back up, and I would still be confident that this trend would hold. 87.8 here is a pretty high correlation, and so I have a fair amount of confidence that this trend would hold. However, I have this at 2 because what you'll see here, what I've identified, at least in my analysis, is that when you're looking at these uptrends and you see it's going higher up here and lower down here from the mean, it seems it's skewed to the upside, right? So that's why I have it at -2 and 2, and I've labeled that on the chart just for anybody. We're at -2 standard deviations and +3 standard deviations. Sorry, not -2 and 2, but -2 and 3. Okay. And so that said, I'm looking at intersecting points, right? So when you have a trend like this, you tend to have what's called mean excuse me, choking on my own spit here. Mean reversion, okay, is what I was saying. So we have mean reversion to where it'll, come up here, it'll hit an upper or lower standard deviation from the mean, and then it'll come back to the mean, right? And it'll either get rejected and go back down, it'll break through and move up, but it kind of wants to be in this area. Thus the high correlation, right? Is that it's hanging around this trend here on the mean, in our upper and lower standard deviations is kind of our furthest points. Now, if it's invalidated, it'll break super low. If we were to continue the trend following with our regression channel, then this number would decrease likely, and it would be more of a sideways thing with more highs and lows, more volatility. But for the time being, we do have a pretty well correlated trend. It does look like it's going up. So from there, I'm saying, okay, well, where are we going with this? And I use Fibs a lot, and so what I did here, and I think let me try to find all my Fibs that I've drawn here. So the first one that I did, okay, is going to be just, our all-time high to our local low, right? So our all-time high is up here. Our local low is down here, okay? And so our Fibs there, and let me get rid of these rays so it'll be easier to see here. Oh, not that one. Did that not do it? Oh, that was the wrong one anyway. Uh-oh. Okay. Anyway. Did I hide it? Oh, okay. Let me just make it a little bit easier to see here. I'll make it a solid line. So, we have our Fib retracement here, high to low, okay? And then we're just looking at the areas where we could potentially see support and resistance here. Okay, so we have this support here at 236. We're a little bit above that just because we have a nice area of support on our price action here. So a lot of buys probably in this area. It's not to say that it can't break low below that and test this. And that is one of the rays that we had identified here. This is a stop. I'll get into that later. Okay. And so when we're looking at this, you know, we want to take these into account, but specifically, we really kind of want to take into account anywhere that we have any clustering, right? Okay, so we have this one here, okay, this strong one. And then I have another, well, I'm not going to get to that one just yet. Where's my other group? Okay, so this one and this one, where's my, did I hide it? Okay, well, we'll get to this one. So this one here is a trend-based fib extension, okay? And so for this one, I used a low, high, low here. And I'm just going to have to draw the other one because I thought I had it on here, but I must have deleted it on accident. So another one here from a low, a high, and then a low, okay? And so what I'm looking for is areas where there's fib clustering. And what fib clustering is simply where they seem to overlay each other, right? So one area is right here, okay, where we have, you know, a 1272, a 618, and a 5 retracement. So this area to me is very relevant as being a pretty strong area of resistance, okay? It's very likely that we're going to hit this and bounce down, get rejected here, okay? And so we have that area. We have this area right here as well, okay? So this is an area that we're looking for to break out of, okay? We want to see a breakout of here. And then I have this 618 and a, what is that, a 618 and 786? I can't tell what these two are right here, but a very tight cluster right here, okay? And I've put this, this purple line on top of it, okay? And those are the areas that I'm looking at as kind of my my take profit zones, okay, or areas that I want to take profit, simply because these are going to be areas where we're likely to see pretty strong resistance. And that's where I put on this here with these little indicators, you know, this take profit $6 with fib cluster and resistance. I just put that at even 6. And then this one as well at 7, fib cluster and resistance. That's this guy here. I put it just below this. I think it's 704 or 5 or something like that. I just rounded it down. So that's where those came from, okay? And so now we can just go ahead and hide all these because we don't necessarily need to see them all, right? And then I just think I kept this guy here. Where's my last one? This one. Get rid of that. And so this is a downside, okay? This guy here. So high, low, high here is giving me a trend, an extension downward. So if we get rejected at these levels and push down, how low are we going to go? Okay, and so this is important as well. And for a bull or a bearish scenario, if we break low here, this trend doesn't hold. Where do I want to put my stop loss, or whether it's mental or otherwise, to identify where potentially we're going to find support or where we absolutely need to find support, right? And so our 100% retracement is down here at 5.5. Okay. I have my ray here. I believe it's this one. Yep. A little bit higher here. And this is my kind of mental stop loss. If I see a daily close below this, then I'm probably going to exit the trade. Excuse me. But really, if it's just a hair below it, maybe not so much. I'll watch the next day. But what I'm really watching for here is kind of this whole area. Let me bring this up. Right here to down here. Okay, so what we're seeing here is we're seeing support. This is a, you know, I've identified this as just resistant or support here, support level. Okay, then we have our 236 on our fib fib extension here, and then we have the 100% retracement on our trend base fib extension. So excuse me, this is our retracement, this is our extension. Okay. So this zone right here is where I want to find support and move back up to kind of hold that trend. And what we see here actually is that if we're looking at this, this zone right here, especially if we're moving forward in time and we are continuing an uptrend, even if we dip down a little bit, we'll actually fall right in here on our -3 standard deviation level, right? Currently, okay? So if we hold this area and don't, have a big fat candle close down here, kind of making lower lows here, if it wicks down and comes back up, I'm not too terribly worried, because if Bitcoin gets like a flash crash and then jumps back up, we may see that. However, I want to see it close above this on a daily, okay? And if we start getting daily closes below that, I'm probably going to be out, and we'll probably continue this trend down, okay? And we may see like a C or a further pullback. So I'm not necessarily too keen on seeing that through. I'd rather be out of there before then. However, for now, everything looks pretty good, and we're moving up. So the other thing that I put on the chart, and I'm gonna hide these, hide this guy here. I'm gonna hide this guy here, and we're just gonna keep our main stuff. I'm gonna take this and put it back to our dotted line just so it's less intrusive. And then I'm gonna hide this rectangle. So the other trend base, or the regression trend that I had was this here, and I had a couple more little icons on here showing that we had found support here and here. The other part of this analysis that I'm looking at kind of expanding from price action is RSI. Okay, so this RSI indicator is an indicator that I had built where it overlays Fibonacci retracement levels onto our RSI, and I find these levels to be very helpful. And so what we see here is I've got like a little warning sign here and then a rocket, right? So anything below the 382 down to the 236, we generally see this correspond with a break of some area of support, okay? And then as it moves in this area, it will continue to make lower lows, okay? Really anything below 50, but below this 382 into this 236 is where we see a lot of push down, right? Conversely, we see this above 618 to 786, okay? Anything breaking above in that region generally tends to see pretty tremendous growth. And when we break the 618, it usually corresponds with an area of resistance, right? Okay, which we can see like right here. Boom, pops up, comes down. And now what we're doing is we're finding support here at this 48 to 52 is how I have it written off. You could do maybe a 45 to 55. And we seem to be finding support here. And that is great, okay? We're finding that support while we're on this regression channel, okay, on this -2 standard deviation, all indicating to me that it's likely, okay, I have more confidence in the fact that we're going to continue upward, okay? So I'm willing to take the risk on this trade to see it move upward. On top of that, on our DMI, on ADX and DMI here, we are showing that we are in a bullish trend. And then our ADX here is showing that we are an increasing bullish trend, though it might be losing a little bit of steam. It's generally more a stronger trend when you have this green directional index, positive directional index above our trend line here, our ADX. But for the time being, it's still positive. It's not super strong, but that could certainly change if we get a push up above the 618. But all in all, my bias is bullish here on this simply due to our ADX. Our MACD did look like it was kind of tanking. Last night when I had started putting this together, we didn't have this little curl up here, and certainly it has not curled up yet. Okay, so we don't have a bullish cross on our MACD. However, what we do see here on our MACD is a bit of a divergence, right? Our MACD seems to be dropping like this. However, our price action seems to be moving up, okay? So that's a bullish divergence indicating that we may see a cross sooner than later. And what we could hopefully see is a MACD cross. This guy is going to come up like this, okay? We'll get a pop off of our ADX with our positive directional index, and then we'll see a move up here into the 618 on our RSI, and that'll likely correspond with our price action breaking up here, possibly pulling back a little bit and moving up to this upper standard deviation at this 3 zone. So I've got this at 7 in case it wicks up here. We got this one at 6 because this is more of a, let me get rid of this guy, more likely target, right? So I'll probably take more off the top here in this region than I will up here at 7, just because it's it may get rejected here because, as we identified earlier, this is a pretty strong area of resistance, right? So that's pretty much it. I don't really have, I don't know if anybody's got any questions here. I know we got like just a few people in here. It's early, still in the trading day. I think we got another hour or so in the trading day. But that is a walkthrough of this analysis. So this is on my page. Let me look at our point of control as well. I want to address that real quick. So this is our VPVR, which is your volume profile visible range. And your point of control is basically given all the data, where was the most trading happening. You can see I've hidden the volume profile, but you can see that right here. And so the most volume at what price range is right around here. Okay, so we want to get above this as well. So that's why I kind of hide this, because I didn't want the whole thing over there. I'm just interested in the POC here. And then the triangle. So I built this little triangle out here. Again, kind of look, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. We have this ascending triangle, which is essentially the lower standard deviation of our linear regression channel. And the top of the triangle is our point of control, where we know that we have a lot of volume here. And we want to break above this. Okay, so this is what I'm really going to be watching, is for a breakout either above or below this. Okay, to kind of when I'm going to really reevaluate my trade is as it breaks out of this range. I kind of moved because I changed it, but there you go. So that is everything on this, put together in a nice and easy to digest video, hopefully for everyone. Look at the chat here. Hello, thinking about Bitcoin downloads, alts, and all. I'm not going to go into anything else right now. I'm sorry. I just wanted to keep this kind of to this single idea and put that out there. I will do a stream probably this weekend to review the market, though. If you have any questions specifically about this, how anything was put together, any of the tools used or anything like that, I'm happy to answer. But if not, I think that's going to be it. I just wanted to give a little quick description of how this was done, in case anybody wanted any more of an understanding of, kind of how I came to be. Again, sometimes when you're looking at an idea, you can kind of read through it, but you have no idea, where did this come from, or where is that, or why did he do that? And in a video, sometimes you don't want to watch a whole video. You just need something quick and brief. So I'm just doing a kind of a supplemental video. I'm going to attach the link to the idea, and I'm going to attach the link to the actual idea here as well in the comments of the video. So if that is it, nobody has any more questions, I appreciate you watching. This is my idea for the trade. This isn't investment advice. By all means, if you decide to follow this and do it as well, make sure you manage your risk, stay safe, and have